People are dying.
We need to face the fact that the Jurassic franchise is probably never gonna die out, it's only gonna get worse, so it's best we get this done. That is, ranking every single death throughout the 6 movies in order of what were they thinking to fucking amazing. Now, unlike Final Destination or even The Omen, it's not quite as dynamic, nor is it the focus of the movie, but they're usually somewhat creative with how they're shown so the kids can see, and that makes them unique enough to rank. I'm going to be throwing in dino deaths too, not so much animals because one's a goat that affects nothing, other's a dog, I won't go there. And as for the scenes when the death is hard to make out, or unnamed characters that don't matter, you'll have to believe what I didn't include was not included on purpose. Mainly everything is, some deaths will be combined, obviously bones don't count. So let's get into every death in the Jurassic franchise ranked.
There's some kind of hot rod with really pretty teeth.
Yes, this is still one of the dumbest fucking moments in the entire franchise. The hunter of the movie, who is evil, wants to obtain an Indoraptor tooth to complete his dino tooth necklace. So believing its strength, he goes inside the cage, and the Indoraptor literally smiles and pretends to be asleep like a fucking cartoon. I don't know how something like this got in the movie, it's so fucking out of place, it's beyond stupid. He then proceeds to be PG-13 to death, and given the movie is held back by that rating, they really shouldn't have stuff like this. If you're gonna have it bite off his arm, don't show it up close, do something to hide it like every movie has done thus far. But instead we get one of the worst looking deaths in the entire franchise, if not the worst. A moment that is so beyond stupid I have to give it the lowest spot. Plenty of bad ones to go, but sometimes you have to question the sanity of those involved.
You put 2 apex predators in one valley. Pretty soon there's only gonna be one.
Yes, I'm putting a dino death next. The Giganotosaurus, the big bad of Dominion. We'll get to his human counterpart soon. Very soon. But with all the time spent on the ingenious locust plot, it's clear this was an afterthought. And the rivalry between this thing and the T-Rex is only hinted at in 2 scenes, given you have the extended version. At the end of the movie, they try to say it's about them, even though they're barely focused on. And after the humans escape and the long-nailed dino joins the fight, it basically ends in the most anticlimactic way possible. About them. Right. I do like how the movie didn't include any kind of hybrid, but why would they give us a finale this lame? I guess with the Locust dead and the new and old cast flying away,
Well, that's the important thing.
the concept of an epic dino battle is just not needed. It's what the audience came to see, and similar to dinosaurs rampaging in the city, we're not getting that.
Did you really think you could get away with it? In my own house.
Aside from the idiocracy of there even being a John Hammond 2, that's what I'm calling him, this has to be one of the dumbest things ever said in a non-horror movie. Once John Hammond 2 finds out the bidding operation is happening literally right under him, because this movie does not know what logic is, he literally, and I mean literally says, "I want you to call the police."
I want you to call the police.
I don't normally show clips and say them, but I have to get through just how stupid this is. Obviously, generic bad guy kills him, referencing the embryo is insulting, and given what the length of this video will likely amount to, I don't think I have to spend any more time on this.
He didn't make it. RJ.
I'm sorry.
It really is a shame a character with such potential is reduced to the guy who says, "Stay out of the long grass." We're gonna rank that scene separately, but in the case of RJ, he simply dies off screen. It's very easy to miss this because the original intro along with Roland's intro was cut, meaning RJ is kinda just there. He could literally be anybody when Roland says he didn't make it. You have no way of knowing it's him aside from process of elimination. And as we know, the original ending that did not involve San Diego, an idea I would have preferred, would have seen him getting a unique death, and a pretty damn good one. Involving paragliding and being ripped to shreds by pterodons. Gruesome stuff, but Spielberg wanted the badly paced, clearly tacked on San Diego section, so there you go. RJ really deserved better.
You exploited a living thing in a cage for money. How is that different?
Next we have Eli, the most forgettable villain in any Jurassic movie. You literally know he's the bad guy when he walks up, and after his evil deeds are felled, by no means the most evil deeds, he's nearly trampled to death, seems to be okay, but is then eaten by a T-Rex and Carnosaurus. His leg is ripped off too. It looks stupid. And since the villain is so forgettable, I guess they thought a stupid overkill death was the best route. I can't say that I care. By the end of this movie, you don't care about much, but for the sake of this ranking, where else can I put it? A forgettable death for a forgettable character. I guess it makes sense.
Prometheus got gored. So will you rapacious rat bastard.
I put Louis Dotson a spot higher because at least he's unique, being killed by Dilophosaurus, the clear reference to Nedry, but the problem is, it kind of just happens. It's kind of like an afterthought, none of the main characters witness it. In fact, Owen and Claire never even meet him, and his bizarre final words, they go like this.
What's your story?
Solidifies his fate as a what the fuck moment. At least they turned a normal guy into some kind of freak. I guess it counts for something. But overall, Dotson is there so they can say, we brought Dotson back, and his fate is a means to an end.
The school cut you from the team?
I gotta stand by this particular raptor getting a low spot because it's a gymnastics scene. Nothing more needs to be said. There's no reason to do a full gymnastics routine. Just kick the damn thing. It's stupid, kind of so stupid it's good. That's why it's not lower, but this is the darkest JP movie, so it's definitely a problem.
No, don't shoot her!
I could have left this out. We don't know who this guy is. I'm pretty confident he's dead. But the way it happens, the logic behind what goes down in this scene is really hard to make out. Maybe it's the PG-13 rating not doing any favors. The way the shot is not done right. I guess they needed something to go wrong here, but it's just poorly done. I could have easily ignored this, but if they're gonna lazily tack it on to a fucking summer blockbuster, then I'm gonna lazily tack it on to this list.
On what? What kind of dinosaur they cooked up in that lab?
I've gone into how stupid this scene is, so I won't repeat it. Just know there's no good reason for any of them to be here. You know, the Indominus Rex pen. So when these two unknowns die, it's too dumb to care. Maybe the first Indominus kill's gotta count for something, but it's so idiotically stupid, mainly for plot reasons. The kills aren't memorable, so it doesn't get a pass. Unfortunately, this type of logic will become a franchise staple.
Echo, there you go! Delta!
Unlike the other two raptors that got a cool demise, Echo, I'm not even completely sure she's dead. Charlie gets blown up, Delta is incinerated. I'm ashamed that I didn't have to look that up. But Echo is simply thrown off screen. Apparently most people get Delta and Echo confused, I wouldn't blame them. She's the last one to perish, making her feel like an afterthought. I don't know what to say about it, I guess the impact killed her, so moving on.
And with every confrontation, we learn more about this frightening new reality.
I feel obliged to include all the innocent people who died in the intro of Jurassic World Dominion. I'm not completely sure who, maybe these two in the car, and the reason I include them is because the movie says it's the right thing. Do you really think the audience is that stupid?
We're causing our own extinction. Too many red lines have been crossed.
Again, do you think the audience is this stupid? You really wanted to advertise this poor bastard, didn't you? Like right after they got let out. I know technically the mosasaur was already free, but still, they're implying it's okay. At the beginning of JP Dominion in a non-theatrical scene, a Giganotosaurus kills a T-Rex. Why is this bad? Because it's supposed to mean something. In the movie's abysmal climax, they say,
This isn't about us.
I wish it wasn't about you. Returning actors clearly weren't the main focus, but all this stupid shit about this fight meaning something because of the intro warrants a low spot. I can't guarantee that's what they're doing, but it really does seem like it, and this dumbass writing is what the new movie needs to move away from.
Relax. Anything in here be dead by now.
What to even say about these two retards? Everything's dead because the plot says so. I guess assuming that wasn't a good idea, and when nothing makes sense at all, what else can be said? The big gate that's left open, allowing the mosasaur to get free, wasn't supposed to be there. Otherwise, the same shit.
The perfect weapon for the modern age. Built for combat.
Given how cool the Indominus Rex fight was in Jurassic World, the Indoraptor fight is a big letdown. We don't see much of the fight. It's more so they face off on the roof. Blue shows up, then Claire shows up, no big fight really takes place, and then a bit of plot armor ends it off. Given how much they hyped this thing up, not that impressive. With the Indominus, it's a real battle, and this, they just get lucky. It's impossible to really care at this point in the movie anyway, but they could have done something clever.
You're sure there's nobody else who can fly a helicopter?
We don't need anyone else.
The death of Simon isn't that bad, but it's not good either. He was actually a memorable, charismatic character. I kinda wish he was in more of it, but he's literally killed by his own ignorance when he takes off in a helicopter and is attacked by pterodons. I'm okay with him being stupid, it fits his personality, but given how this movie is, it does feel kind of off. Like he should have done more, it feels incomplete. In the same way, I admire the realism. A dumb individual dying in a realistic manner, that's why it's not real low, but it just doesn't feel in place. In a different kind of movie, it wouldn't be an issue, but for something like this, it's like they didn't know what to do with him. I'm sure nobody else thinks about this, but I kind of feel Simon also deserved better.
Pachycephalosaurus. Carnivore? Huh? No. Herbivore, late Cretaceous.
And the final bad tier placement goes to this. It's at the top of it due to being creative, a unique way to not show too much but still be disturbing. Lost World was good at that. But the sheer stupidity of moving into a T-Rex's mouth because of a snake has to count against it. Maybe if they established a phobia of snakes, it may be somewhat acceptable. But given this guy chose to some reason not go with the rest of the group and stay with our leads, it feels overly deliberate. Again, in a different movie, maybe not an issue, but no other human death in the Lost World is this laughable. I do like how the Rex leaves, acknowledging it wouldn't still be hungry, unlike the Spinosaurus in JP3.
Rex just fed.
But in a movie full of memorable grisly scenes, this one's a bit silly.
Hey, I'm gonna get you close, my friend, but not too close, eh? You don't wanna be eaten.
Yeah, these do basically die for plot purposes. It's done in an okay manner. We don't see what kills them, probably the Spinosaurus. I do wish they'd shown more. I know these movies can't be too violent, but they could have shown us something. It's not that memorable, definitely a plot device, but it's okay for what it is.
Ladies, gentlemen, to this extraordinary evening.
We knew this guy wouldn't make it, but he did get relatively close. Why he avoided the big open door is a mystery to me, so it's not going to be a high-rank death, but him and a few stupid others chose to hide in the elevator, and after the Indoraptor finished filming his cartoon segment, he is the next to go. He does kind of resemble a cartoon character, so it's fitting. He's also extremely unlucky as his tail causes the door to open, but that and his death being a cutaway doesn't even come close to the atrocities this movie commits. It's nothing good, but it's nothing bad either. In Jurassic Park III, this pterodon dies. I guess. It's a great scene, the best scene in the movie, but it doesn't count for this. So it's truly the definition of okay.
About how you all saved lives. No, better yet, how your animals saved lives.
Every single person who dies to the raptor pack is pretty damn well done. The deaths are memorable, kind of terrifying, but they are held back by the logic. You know what I mean.
That thing's part raptor.
So with no concern for DNA logic whatsoever, that's why the raptors do this. Because the Indominus Rex is part raptor. I can't get over how overly stupid this is, as if we didn't already know it was part raptor. That's why it looks so basic, only a dino expert would know what it is. So even that isn't a good twist. That being said, there's still real cool deaths. Being dragged away, a bloody hand on the window. One of the darker scenes in the new trilogy. But still, I can't go beyond okay.
Maintenance here, the other end of the compound. 3 minutes, I can have power back on the entire park.
Oh look, a Jurassic Park 1 death. Maybe too low for some people. But Mr. Arnold, played by Samuel Jackson, is given the least memorable death in the movie, and one of the less memorable characters. It's easy to forget he's in this, but the reason he's killed off screen only to have Ellie find his severed arm is due to the big storm that rampaged Hawaii. Because of this, he couldn't fly back to film his death properly, and a severed limb is all we get. I'm actually okay with that. It makes his death unique, but for a death ranking video, it still can't get too high. It did originally make a severed leg too, but didn't use it. And the scene depicted in the novel does sound pretty cool, so give it a read if you're curious. death of this, I guess, sub-villain is okay. A bit on the stupid side, but given his impact in the movie, I suppose it fits. Being a forgettable plot device is hard to really care. And having both his arms chewed up while being incapacitated is more cartoon logic that sadly fits the new movies too well. Not quite as bad as another death I won't get back into, but honestly, I'm really struggling to find things to say about this. He's not interesting, the death is slightly memorable, so it is what it is.
Charlie! Stay right there.
Charlie is the only raptor to get taken out earlier in the movie, being blown up, and I think it's safe to say that it's just okay. Again, it's part of the ridiculous DNA concept, but it is nice to see Charlie kind of remember Owen, and that Owen won't shoot her. I like the way the scene looks before the raptor is promptly blown up, its hesitation. It's a decent scene, but nothing too great.
Do you remember how we used to get the raptors in the truck? Yeah? Yeah. You're up. No.
Another dead raptor, the Atrociraptor, that fails to get in the plane, and gets one spot higher for concluding the only good scene in the movie. That being the big chase, dinosaurs in the city, the thing the trailers promised us, but in reality, we only got this. It's a cool way to end it, the bike knocking it out. The scene even made a cameo in the movie The Fall Guy last year. It essentially gets the job done. For what it is, I like it, but not much to say.
No, Alex not having a bachelor party. Because all his friends are animals.
Scatter.
Easily the hardest death to rank on this list, and you know why. For the crime of being irresponsible, Zara is given the most over-the-top death in the franchise. Being picked up by pterodons, dropped in the Mosasaur tank, chewed on, and eventually eaten by the Mosasaurus. It left a lot of people wondering why she got such a horrendous fate, especially because it's the first female death in any of these movies, and for the most part, only one. And the insane, drawn-out nature is very out of place. The way I look at it, you're supposed to think she deserved it, even though that's not reasonable. And I also believe they're trying to be somewhat comedic. Not that this really is, but I think that's the idea. It's the only way it would make any sense. This is the movie with the infamous high heels, but obviously it's not the impression anybody got. I can see the issue people have, but at the same time, I don't care. It's still kind of fun. I don't believe it's trying to be sexist. Definitely not offensive. It's a flawed effort, yeah, a bit ridiculous, but it doesn't really matter.
Whatever you see in that range, whatever you listen to, whoever you read, that's going to dictate what your tastes are for the rest of your life.
Finally, we reach the unlucky bastard. Makes perfect sense, he's again involved in the franchise, and he's also the only citizen of San Diego who we see die. Nothing really special about it, but he is David Koepp, so it's gotta count for something. I like how they at least included one death, implying the T-Rex did more than just damage. Definitely a famous moment, and I'm glad it's here. And now we conclude the OK section with
the 5 deaths
that are really just there. The first one being the best death in Dominion, meaning there's not really any good deaths in this movie beyond okay, or that many period, oddly enough. But the man on the Segway is the best they got. It's again a death that our heroes cause, but it's at least kind of funny. It's also the movie's only good scene, so that's a thing. The Carnosaurus that the T-Rex killed in Fallen Kingdom when the island's exploding is okay. You get the feeling the T-Rex showed up just to do this and left, because it's not in much of the movie. You gotta question why she did it. I mean, again, the island's exploding. I don't know what the reasoning was. Unlike the Giganotosaurus, no intriguing backstory. And as many of you know, it was gonna be the Spinosaurus, but that idea got scrapped. I'm actually glad it did because I don't care about the revenge some fans want to see. Honestly, just grow up.
What is going on? I can't hear you!
The opening of Fallen Kingdom presents a decent kill when a really stupid worker does not know what a bunch of men desperately waving at you means. That's the only flaw, the stupidity and repetitive nature of the Mosasaurus grabbing something at this point. But aside from that, a good enough opening, one of the movie's highlights.
Jimmy, what is it? It's a velociraptor.
For the longest time, I thought Jurassic Park 1 only had 2 raptors, but no, there's 3, I think, and one gets locked in the freezer. I suppose it's dead. I mean, don't see how it'd get out. I'm sure someone's gonna say I got this wrong, so I apologize. It's an exciting scene, but nothing too substantial.
Yes. Who's hungry?
And finally, we get the raptor's meal. I like the angle, the sound of it eating, sets the appropriate tone. And the way John Hammond says, "Who's hungry?" after is an effective line. I guess some of these could be in the good tier, but in the end, they're not that important. So be sure to like the video, subscribe down below if you're enjoying, because it's time for the deaths that I really like.
I wanna go now.
Just look how it eats.
Please.
I bet you never look at birds the same way again.
Yes.
This one comes down to the scene it's in. Like I said in my analysis, a lot of moments in this movie that don't advance the plot, but I can't deny how memorable the Gallimimus scene is. So when the T-Rex comes in and kills one, it just makes it all the more perfect. I like the contrast of the way they all perceive it, Grant being fascinated by the way it eats, Tim being fascinated by the blood, Lex wanting to get out of there. It's honestly a really well done sequence, but not a lot to it aside from nostalgia. That's gonna bother some people, but Jurassic Park 1 is not perfect, okay? It just isn't, but still pretty damn memorable.
Look, 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
Any scene that gives us a cool dino battle is a good scene. This one is no exception. The way they include the spheres makes it unique, and I kinda like how you don't see the outcome until later. Arguably the death is not the star, that's the issue with ranking these, but you have to look at it for what it is. Jurassic World is the only movie in the trilogy that gives us good dino battles. I don't know why that's so hard. It's not the best one, but it's one of the best ones, and that really shouldn't be. Let's see the bad tier for examples.
It didn't eat him. It's killing for sport.
I'm going to include the other dead dinos the Indominus Rex kills because it is relatively sad and gives you an idea of what the thing's capable of. That is, killing for sport. If you're going to have hybrids, that makes sense. It's an effective scene that gets the job done.
Yeah, but I did an intravenous blood transfusion with a T-Rex, so it's a sock drawer in there.
You what?
This scene is just fun. Blue taking out a few relevant workers in fun, ridiculous ways. The term fun isn't really associated with this movie, so the scene really stands out. It has an explosion too, convenient plot device for later. For the standards of this movie, it's somehow a highlight.
Not polite to sneak up on people.
One of the most satisfying deaths to watch in any Jurassic Park movie, seeing this guy get attacked and basically pursued by compies is a genius move given how big of an asshole he was. The enjoyment factor can't be denied, definitely one of the more gruesome deaths, but I do have an issue. Obviously we don't see him die, and they seem to only attack him when he's on the ground. So how they actually killed him off screen is a mystery. You think he'd just get back up, opposed to lay there and let that happen. Maybe he's supposed to be exhausted, I assume that's the idea, but I have an issue believing that. The way the water runs red is a good touch, and how they describe what they found later.
Just the parts they didn't like.
It's beyond satisfying, but still a bit flawed.
Einhorn 20mm gas-operated semi-automatic, 10-shot magazine-fed rotating bolt recoil.
The death of Nash suffers from the use of bad animatronics. As I said in the previous videos, it's way too stiff, but at the same time, it's also a bit unneeded. Seeing him flung around, eventually dropped, stepped on, and finally killed is a pretty damn brutal death. It's easy to overlook this as him and Cooper die almost immediately, but I still say it's effective. Fun fact, it was supposed to be Udesky who died here, giving Nash his fate later. Honestly, I kinda wish they did that. Nash did seem a bit cooler, but if not for the look of it, it probably would have gotten a lot higher.
So how do you know the Kirbys?
Through our church.
The Spinosaurus really isn't fucking around. He takes out both fake mercenaries right off the bat, and I really didn't want to put them back to back, but their fates are very similar. This one's not as brutal. I still don't know how exactly he got in that situation, what injured him, but he does have the benefit of being introduction to the Spino. Not to mention him clearly being terrified, begging the plane to stop. But the reason I give it a spot above is the way it looks. Obviously it's a lot faster, therefore it looks okay. You can make the case for either of them, but the Spinosaurus really makes an impact. Highly underrated, I do not hate it as many do, and the two fake mercenaries go out in a memorable manner.
It's gonna be okay, bud.
Sticking with JP3, we have Ben, and this one's really unique. It's not the first time somebody finds the remains off screen, but Ben is just more memorable. Looking back, you really don't expect this. Most movies that aren't that great love to give you the love triangle dilemma, but the way Amanda gets tangled in what's left of Ben is another surprisingly dark scene. Never really think about it when it comes to this movie, but there are a few moments like this. And for whatever reason, this one is one of my earliest memories from this movie. Nothing else quite like it. It establishes that Eric is all alone, and similar to the intro, don't completely know what killed him. There's something creepy about that, but being in this movie, it's not that talked about, and that's really a shame.
It was a lie. Bastard! It was all a lie!
No surprise to anybody, the dinosaurs in Fallen Kingdom, especially the Brachiosaurus disappearing into the ash, is the only really good scene in the movie. It's slightly affected by the fact that nobody notices them. Putting on the hat is not a good enough reason. What about these two? They literally just jumped in the ship. And while I really do despise this movie, you can't deny this moment is effective. It has the sad end of an era essence, an era that ended long ago. It is of course the same Brachiosaurus, and with that, Fallen Kingdom is out. Short of 15, ain't bad. I really love this one, the way the guy gets trampled and stomped on, without the T-Rex even noticing. It's such an effective yet inconsequential scene. It happens real fast, you know it's gonna happen. He even sticks to his foot for several steps, obviously too irrelevant to get much higher, but you can't deny the effect it has. It's shocking, disturbing, the only real death like it, so I think a spot this high is pretty justified.
We have $26 million invested in that asset. We can't just kill it.
This man are gonna die.
Another real unique scene, not so much in concept. Whenever there's a new dangerous creature in a movie, somebody tries this. But this moment when a bunch of dumbasses without guns get themselves massacred is done slightly better. You get a lot of unique kills, some relatively violent stuff, the introduction of the cloaking ability, but I think the best thing about it is watching them flatline. It's a unique detail that gets around showing everything, and for a PG-13 movie, it's one of the more clever ways to get around that. I like how not everybody dies, some body being dragged away, never to be mentioned again. But despite how cool this may look, you can't deny the stupidity of them walking into this. That will keep it out of the very best, but to show what the Indominus Rex can do, it gets the job done. I consider the top 12 to be truly amazing, and this one just misses out. That's going to be an issue given it's the first death, the first person to die on screen, when Muldoon famously says, "Shoot!" But again, it's going to come down to logic. The complete lack of common sense used to handle this at this point knowingly intelligent and very dangerous raptor is going to keep the death a bit lower than some diehard fans might want. We all know why it's great, the way it looks, the fact that they won't kill it, getting across how they operate. It's an amazing scene, an amazing intro, but there are 12 I like a bit more. 4 of which are in this movie, so don't complain too much. Still, a legendary scene.
Delta, I see you. Back up.
Moving into the very best stats that have little to no fault whatsoever, and you may be wondering why Delta is here. You know, right above the JP1 intro, and it's because I love the way it looks. Opposed to Echo just being tossed off screen, Delta is thrown into the restaurant burners and completely incinerated. I love the way it's placed, the somewhat afterthought feel, definitely not the main focus, but it looks fucking cool. That's the beauty of a death ranking. Some things in the scene don't look as good, some are a lot better. We're by no means done with it, but I've always loved the way Delta goes out. If they ever kill off Blue, it probably won't be as good. That's the sad part. It's one of the reasons I do like this movie for stuff like this. Many won't agree, but it is what it is.
Where does he think he's going? When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Some things are just classic, and the dickhead lawyer is given one of the first and most comedic deaths. It's always fun to make fun of Watch Mojo, and despite redoing the hilarious Death Top 10 4 times, this one never appears on the list, or even in the honorable mentions. Just the intro.
I shut you down, John.
But a deserving and memorable death, it definitely is. Fun fact, in the novel he actually lives, but is not present in this scene. Instead, the novel character Registry dies, but not the same way. And being eaten on the toilet, not to mention the first T-Rex kill, is so memorable it has to be this high. The cowardly lawyer gets a fitting end. I don't think anybody has an issue with that.
It's okay, it's dead.
But many people will have an issue with this. To reiterate, I don't care that it killed the T-Rex at all. If you do, that's okay, but the first ever full-on dino battle will always be iconic in my book. It's not the best one, we'll get to that very soon, but it is still pretty well done. I know technically the T-Rex would have won upon getting the first bite. Grow up. I for one hope the T-Rex breaking the skeleton is the extent of this. Just a good fun dino battle that looks impressive. It's kinda sad both the newest movies can't outdo this. They haven't outdone this, in fact they fucked it up both times. But JP3 definitely had some good moments, but not that many.
Not into the long grass!
Another iconic one, no specific character here, more so multiple deaths. And they belong to all the disposable leftover characters, and one very underutilized one, but I counted that separately. The rest we actually see die in a pretty scary manner. They did not heed the warning of long grass! It's literally the only thing RJ said. They should have listened. Instead they get killed off one by one as the raptors sneak up on them, pull them down into the aforementioned long grass. Eventually panic breaks out, one of them we do see die in a more flashy manner. But even if it is just disposing of characters we don't need, it's still one of the movie's most memorable moments. It's why The Lost World originally had the highest body count by far. It's not gonna fly today, spectacle is the way to go. But back in the late 90s, this kind of thing actually worked.
You're not really a mercenary, are you?
I never said I was.
That's true. What are you?
The throwaway character that lasted a bit longer was given one of the most unique deaths. He's the only human I can guarantee the Spinosaurus didn't kill, instead the raptors. And to those who completely hate this movie, the raptors are cleverly utilized. Not only do we see them use their signature claw in a very violent manner, but once he's subdued, they proceed to use him to set a trap. That's really interesting. I love the way the movie fleshes out the raptors, opposed to the new ones taking this concept way too far. And I gotta say, in the Jurassic Park III Lego game that reuses dialogue, I love the way it sounds there.
They set a trap. They actually set a trap.
Then once they're done with him, they proceed to snap his neck. One of the most violent kills, especially in the old movies. But unfortunately, it still could have been better. As mentioned earlier, it was originally going to be Nash, which I would have preferred, but more importantly, he was going to pick up a stick and try to fend off the raptor. In a movie that's already too short, I don't know why they'd cut that. It sounds pretty cool. I mean, he's on the ground for no reason, it's kind of obvious. But the death is the main thing here, and with that, JP3 is out. Overall, not bad.
Run. Towards the shed. I've got her.
At this point, it gets hard to explain what made these scenes so great. Ranking these memorable classic deaths are not easy, and this one was not easy to place. It ends up being here because I like 6 others a bit more and 2 others from this movie, but the fact is, they have to rank somehow. Muldoon dies the way the gang hunters should, underestimating the raptors, giving us the classic line, and you know the rest.
Clever girl.
A bit of a cop-out, but I don't know what else to say, it's just a perfect moment. I could justify it not being higher by saying nobody mentions him, he goes off on his own, and that's it. Again, in the book, he actually lives, I kinda wish they kept it that way, despite the scene being great. Oddly enough, the book is more unique when it comes to who lives and who dies. The lawyer is decent, but the hunter who says clever girl is a drop-dead classic.
Careful. This suit costs more than your education.
The most and only remotely memorable villain in any of these movies, with Ludlow, you really wanted to see him get his comeuppance. With Dodson and the other guy, I couldn't have given a shit, but Ludlow has a notably unlikable tone. Despite the T-Rex rampaging, he still won't give up, and after that proves to be a bad idea, he's essentially eaten alive. Likely very slowly, and damn is that satisfying. He gets picked up first and then dropped. It's a joy to witness. Not quite my favorite villain death, I'll get to what that is. But for such a sleazeball character, it's not disappointing.
No wonder you're extinct. I'm gonna run you over when I come back down.
Still not the best villain death, but I do like watching Dennis die a bit more. I mean, he literally fucked up the whole thing. He's a complete asshole. Not one decent trait. So his plan to steal the misspelled embryos for Biosyn doesn't end ideally. Potentially going the wrong way, getting the Jeep stuck. Must be a real long 15 minutes. But then their totally realistic Dilophosaurus shows up, and who doesn't love this? The way he tries to play fetch with it, the funny lines, even the cartoon sound effects, which work here. And given the thing has made-up abilities, you can probably see where it's going. Unfortunate strings aside, that's really effective. I like the mystery of the embryos being lost, which unfortunately didn't stay a mystery, and it ending up in the car with him is the best way it could have ended. The novel had a much more gruesome fate that wouldn't have worked here, so I may as well say it. Goodbye, Newman.
What? Teeth. We need more teeth.
Of course, Jurassic World has the best dino battle. I mean, how could it not? You can hate the movie, but you can't hate this. That's impossible. It's epic, it's well-paced, it looks amazing. But getting back to the death of the Indominus Rex, it goes out as fish food. It ends off the scene so perfectly, it has to be this high. I've always loved it. It's not the first time I've mentioned this fight on this list, lots of raptor fatalities. But as we all knew, this one would rank the highest. The only thing holding it back is the convenience. It would seem nothing else could have killed it, so it's a good thing that was there. But then I would have to complain about the end of Terminator 2, and we're not gonna do that either. No, it's just a great ending, and just being out of the top 3 is not bad. Like I said, I still do like this movie, but if you don't like any of this, then there is something wrong with you. You just don't like fun.
What are you doing?
Afraid that's above your pay grade, honey.
Yes, this is my favorite villain death. It always has been. I guess I love the way he tries to reason with it, the fact that you really don't know what's gonna happen, even though it's pretty obvious. And of all the Jurassic World villains, he's easily the best one. Not that that's saying much, but I'll admit, for a villain, I did kinda like this guy. It's also pretty violent, still retaining a PG-13 rating, but the way she bites his hand is unexpected. I'm not saying it's anything that grand, but for a death in this franchise, it's always stood out to me. It simply gets the job done, it's no more than it should be, and it manages to stand out despite the PG-13 rating. That will not happen again, but Jurassic World is still a good movie, and they knew how to do this right, ending its run in the top 3.
Rex just fed, so he won't stalk us for food.
Just fed? I assume you're talking about Eddie. You might show a little respect. The man saved our lives by giving his.
Probably number 1 for almost anybody. I'm not going by brutality. If I was, it would be. But it does definitely help. Eddie is the guy who becomes a human wishbone. Like I said, it's a dark movie. Not only is it unexpectedly gruesome, but he's literally tossed in the air, and the sound effect... just listen. But the reason it deserves to be this high, and nobody else talks about this, is it's unique. Why? Because how often does a character like this die in these movies? Aside from maybe Zara, but still, I think you're supposed to dislike her. Eddie was part of the team, did nothing wrong, unlike Nick, yet he gets the most violent death in any Jurassic Park movie. That alone warrants a high spot, but given the creativity and brutality, it definitely deserves to be here. Granted, it is the second movie, they may have not gotten into the nobody nice can die mentality yet. Rebirth really has to rectify this, if not fuck them. But Eddie will likely always have the most famous death for most of the fans. In my case, he really does too, if not for one thing.
You sure the third one's contained?
Yes. Unless I figured out how to open doors.
Given I did not only include people, it goes to the big one and the other raptor. I will never forget watching this as a kid, wondering how they're gonna get out of this one, and even though we do question how did the T-Rex get in there, it's still a perfect moment. I acknowledge the T-Rex intro is better, but we're looking at deaths, and this is still the best one. The music, the look of it, it's unexpected. The way she's taken out the skeleton, the banner falling is literally perfection. It's not the most talked about thing, I guess I can see why, given the legendary movie it's in. But while not my favorite scene, it is up there. It's pure and simply an epic moment. The pacing is fantastic. Yeah, it was meant to end quite differently, and like I said in my analysis, it would be interesting to see. I mean, who knows? A topic for another video, maybe I'll make one in the future. But I don't think it would outdo this. It was at the time my favorite moment, period. My opinion may have changed there, but as far as death goes, nothing outdoes this. It may not be the most violent, may not be somebody you really want to see die, definitely not the most shocking, but easily the best all around. The big one and her friend take the top spot, and I'm sure you agree. And that wraps up every single death in Jurassic Park ranked. The ones I chose to include. It may not be the franchise's main theme, but I think it was fun to consider how they stacked up. Let me know your opinions down below, what your favorites and least favorites are, and more importantly, what you don't agree with. Again, please do share this and like the video, it was a lot of work, and consider subscribing if you enjoyed. The gaming channel is there too. I know I don't upload that often, but I will occasionally. The link is in the description. So I'm the analyst, and remember kids, death can be fun to watch, even if it is PG-13.